Welcome, everyone. My name is Ebony, and I'm the CEO here at the YWCA Banff. Thank you all for coming to this year's Changemakers event. I would like to start this event in a good way and acknowledge the traditional lands of Treaty 7 upon which the Y is located and where this event is, virtually taking place today. Specifically, I would like to honor the Blackfoot Confederacy, comprising of the Siksina, Kainai, Beekani Nations, and the Scotsina First Nations, and the Stoney Nakotas Nations of the Chiniki, Wellesley, and Bearspaw, as well as the Métis people of Regions 3 and the Métis Nation of Alberta. As a settler here, I recognize that I have a responsibility to understand our history and the spirit and intent of Treaty 7 so that we can honor our past, be aware of our present, and continue to build the future on peace, friendship, and understanding. We are here today to celebrate Women of Distinction from the Bow Valley. Thank you to the Women of Distinction Nomination Committee for their efforts. As for an agenda for this afternoon, we'll start by hearing from our keynote speaker, some of you may know her, Karen Sorensen, followed up by a question and answer period. Please post your questions in the Q&A part of the chat. And ending, of course, with what you've all been waiting for, announcing the winners of this year's Women of Distinction. We're thrilled to have Mayor Karen Sorensen here joining us today. Karen has served as Mayor of Banff since 2010 and as a member of Town Council since 2004. She has also served as a local school board trustee on several civic boards and worked for several years in the tourism industry and public relations and sales. During her time as mayor, she's remained committed to her goals of keeping Banff affordable, aiming for a 2% vacancy rate in rental housing, expanding transit and traffic solutions, and champion sustainable tourism. In 2019, she was the recipient of the Bow Valley Women of Distinction Award. Described as a hard worker who focuses on meaningful actions that create change, Karen is a positive role model as both a woman in politics and a tenacious and engaged leader committed to improving the quality of life for the people in her community. Welcome, Karen.
Good afternoon. May I first say how honored I am to be asked to speak today at the 2021 Women of Distinction presentations. To have received a Women of Distinction award in 2019 was a real highlight for me, and it is, of course, very humbling. The Bow Valley is an amazing community. We have a community of builders, creative thinkers, and leaders of all ages. My hope at events like this is that our young girls look around, see their community and the women in leadership roles, and understand that gender is never a reason not to follow their dreams and to make a real difference. Ladies of the Bow Valley, I think we are teaching them well. As you all know, I am Banff's mayor. I also have the influential titles of wife, mom, stepmom, mom-in-law, daughter, sister, and aunt. I think that in itself is a female trait. Whereas a female leader, I feel compelled to tell you about my whole self and to state, when I reflect on my accomplishments in this life, my greatest accomplishment is raising 3 fine men. I've said many times that it is my privilege to serve as Banff's mayor, but honestly, it's also a real joy. Sure, there are moments, and in this past year, there have certainly been more of those moments. But through a flood, derailment, several concerning fire seasons, and a once in a 100-year pandemic, I do love my work because serving this community, this hometown, is so very rewarding. When I first laid eyes on the Canadian Rocky Mountains and Banff, I was 14. I was on a family vacation visiting from Ontario. I shared the hot, sticky back seat with my sister, watching my mom fold and unfold maps while Dad smoked his pipe and filled the car. The good old days. As we stood on the decks of Sulphur Mountain Gondola, overlooking the majesty and the little town of Banff in the valley, I looked at my mom and said, I'm going to live here one day. True story. And here I am. Clearly, Banff made a huge impression on the 14-year-old me that has never waned. I entered politics out of love. Love for my sons and the world they were living in. I was first elected as a school board trustee, where I served for 2 terms. Love for my community and the very special place that it holds in Canada. I was elected as a Banff Town Councillor in 2004, and then again in 2007. And a love for being engaged and being actively involved when I was acclaimed as mayor of Banff in 2010, and then re-elected in 2013 and 2017. Women of distinction are obviously driven in the same way, a desire to make a difference, and not from the cheap seats either, but at the table, or if necessary, at the head of the table. Not simply because we are women, but because we all contribute our vision, skills, knowledge, perspectives, and ideas. Banff's history is, of course, rich with strong, independent women. They were trailblazers in outdoor pursuits, in the arts, and in leadership. Margaret Grenham, a Banff teacher, dedicated to educating Alberta children in the arts. Elizabeth Parker, a Canadian journalist in the early 1900s who co-founded the Alpine Club of Canada. Eleanor Luxton, the first female locomotive engineer in Canada. Mary Schaefer, the first non-Native woman to travel through much of Banff and Jasper National Parks, and an accomplished artist, photographer, and writer. And Leslie Taylor, Banff's very first mayor, and a true mentor for me. These women had several things in common. They adored being outdoors in the Canadian Rockies. They reveled in the pristine scenery, the wildlife, the hiking, skiing, or trail riding, and they loved raising families, running businesses, and building community. They overcame their challenges with courage. They were firm in their convictions and exemplified their values. I can only hope that a fraction of their strength and energy somehow surround me every day. In my opinion, the majority of our residents want their community leaders to have the courage to honestly say what they think, rather than simply taking a position out of fear of ridicule or not being reelected. They prefer their leaders to stand firm in their convictions and exemplify their values. To understand, it is not entitlement, but a privilege to live in Banff. That it is not an obligation to give back to the community, but an opportunity. That diversity is not dissension, and that doing nothing is simply not an option. I have a favorite quote by Aristotle that I use as a mantra. To avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, be nothing. When Banff Council is faced with a particularly difficult decision, which this term, it seems, is just about every decision that we're making, and we're being lobbied by multiple and diverse voices, denounced in letters to the editor, and declared incompetent on social media, I ask myself these questions. Who will it benefit and who will it hurt? What is the cost? And I don't mean just financially. And most importantly, is it the right thing to do? And then I vote for what I think is going to be best for the future of our entire community. That's the best and most courageous thing that I can do for my community. I have announced that I am not running for re-election this October, and this has caused me to reflect on many lessons learned in this job, and I'm happy to share a few with you. Lesson number 1, gender does matter, especially for moms. There continues to be a suggestion that mothers who pursue political positions are not thinking in the best interest of their children, or having a mom in politics is somehow more damaging than having a dad in politics. That's because politicians somehow belong to everyone else, and so a woman's child will suffer a loss. I've also learned women feel more need to ask for the support of their family to run, and if they don't get that support, they don't run. Men don't seem to feel the same responsibility to ask permission. If you consider not pursuing something in your life for fear of negative impacts on your children or marriage or other important relationships, please understand, even with a job like this, I was always able to live by family first. That was a given. These words of Glennon Doyle ring very true for me. The greatest burden a child can bear is the unlived life of a parent. Lesson number 2, be authentic. Being you is your distinct competitive advantage. Don't submerge that which is uniquely you. And as mentioned earlier, bring all the yous to the table, all the roles you play, all the experiences you have had, all the values you hold dear. Bring it all. To quote another fave of mine, Brené Brown, most people are not comfortable in their own skin, and so it is attractive to others if you are. Lesson 3, be confident. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. For all the stuff that people have made up about me, the misinformation they spread, and the endless hurtful comments, all I could do every day was get up in the morning and do my job. It's difficult when people see you as a title and not a person. People who know me and love me know Karen. I've had people who don't know me that will tell me I'm intimidating. That always bothers me. Then one day a friend said to me, "Are you intimidating, or is that person intimidated by you? You are not responsible for someone else feeling less than." Be confident. Lesson 4, build relationships. Since kindergarten, we are taught the importance of cooperation. No matter what it is, you cannot be successful alone. Most importantly, build relationships on all sides. Only having relationships with those people that agree with you isn't all that effective as a leader. The secret of my success, here it is. I'm not an engineer, an urban planner, or a financial wizard. And I don't know a lot about collecting waste or how to assure we have clean water or how to start a snowplow. The truth is, I've won a few popularity contests, but I credit my ability to create relationships to those successes. Relationships are my superpower. I know that, I own that. Lesson 5, create other leaders. Mentor, engage, be available and approachable. I participate in a group called Ask Her in Calgary. I love when our grade 6s do their governance model and I get to join for Q&A. In May, I'm meeting with our local Girl Guides, and this very reason right here, just Women of Distinction, is why I sincerely enjoy opportunities like this. In closing, I congratulate the Women of Distinction being recognized today, those recognized in previous and in future years. Their dedication and commitment to community has made the Bow Valley what and who we are. I stand on their shoulders. We all do.
Thank you so much for your service, Karen. Most folks know I'm new to Banff, and I'm certainly going to miss you and your leadership. So we have a couple questions in the Q&A section. I think you can see them as well, but I'll just share the first one out, which is a very similar question that came from somebody through social media. So I would like to know how young women in our community could take initial steps towards a career in politics. Where should they begin?
I think the most important thing that at any age you can do is get involved with your community. And when I say community, I actually don't mean town. If the town, sure, that's what I did. But I mean your community, whatever that is, your school, teams, your workplace, clubs, causes that interest you. And as I said in my comments, pay really close attention to your relationships, develop your confidence, and I think some people do need to work on developing confidence, and don't ever feel that you have to be or present yourself as someone that you aren't, which of course speaks to the be authentic piece. And I guess to the young ladies who may be listening, don't you ever dare shrink yourself for someone else's comfort.
Yeah, thanks for that, Karen. I know that relationship piece and getting involved, and sometimes we use kind of community and town as a synonym, but yeah, finding the place, finding your niche, it's great advice. We have another question from the chat. Would you consider moving to Kenmore? We hear they're looking for a new mayor.
I saw that. Well, Banff will be looking for a new mayor as well. And of course, John Borman and I have shared a really great relationship in both our positions. And I take huge pride in how our two towns have really, I mean, we use, I think it was at a walk a mile in her shoes event where we first said two towns, one community. But yeah, it'll be a big change for the Valley with both mayors leaving. So I don't intend to move to Kenmore. I do intend to continue to live in Banff, but I appreciate the thought.
Another question coming from social media that couldn't attend the event today. So it's about the fact that you seem to be able to steer clear from all of the bureaucracy. And I mean, just even in my interactions with you, it does feel very authentic, and it just feels like, two people sharing a glass of wine over lunch, which is, I think, a little bit unusual and really speaks to your character. How do you continue to maintain that authenticity? I know you touched on it a little bit in your speech.
First of all, authenticity, it's such a word that's being used all the time, whether we're talking about experiences or tourism or human beings. Authenticity by definition should be natural. You really shouldn't have to work at being authentic. It's kind of an interesting concept. I'm well aware that I'm emotional. I'm well aware that I'm opinionated. I'm well aware that I'm self-assured. No one ever told me in my life to tone it down. And maybe they did, but apparently I didn't listen. If I was told to tone it down. A lot of people in this job and in any leadership role, I get a lot, oh, wow, you have to be so thick-skinned in this job. And I'm not thick-skinned. I don't want to be thick-skinned. That said, I suppose the times that I'm probably not completely authentic is when people are nasty. Friends will say, hey, it comes with the job. It's not personal. Actually, it is. So again, be careful when you say to somebody it's not personal, because it is. I have to act like it doesn't take a toll on me, and it does. I think in this role, and again, I'd like to broaden it out to wider leadership role, you actually have to have the courage to be disliked. And again, another great quote of mine is Winston Churchill, you have enemies? Good. Means you stood up for something.
I was just on a call last night, and we were talking about women in politics, and this woman, she said now, I don't know if it was COVID or that era, we have to bring COVID in there because there's no way we can have a conversation in 2021 without it, but that she had said to me she would never get into politics now, even though it was something that she was considering. Is there anything, that you want to share just related to COVID or what that experience has been like?
In terms, well, yeah, how do you even start? I guess to try and keep it simple is I don't need to really speak to all the word that's coming to mind is horror of COVID, whether we're talking personally, economically, for this community, for the world. This has been a really, something none of us have ever lived through before, although my 91-year-old mother likes to tell me that she has. So, but I really do believe that there are silver linings in this. And I think we have all found some personally, whether it's time with family or, conversations around, our families, et cetera. And I do believe even from a business perspective, Banff Lake Louise as a destination is definitely heading down a road of, we've had this break, how do we look at things a bit differently? My 29-year-old son calls this the great big pause. And I think that's great. And I will tell, my most profound memory during COVID, and there's been a lot of them, and there's been a lot of tears and a few martinis in there as well. But was going up to Lake Louise. This would have been last spring, probably about this time last year, just before whatever restrictions were in place were going to be lifted. And Karsten and I went up and stood on the shores of Lake Louise absolutely alone. And I will never forget that. And that was a gift of COVID.
Yeah, I'm challenged, but always looking for those silver linings in COVID, and that's now my new phrase. What is the silver linings, and you know, how can we think about some of the positives? And there is lots of opportunities within this pause, as we can call it now. Another one of my mentors has asked a question in the chat. So, The Courage to be Disliked sounds like a book title. What are you reading these days?
You know what? Actually, right now, two things. I'm listening to How to Live Like a Monk. I think it's How to Live Like, I'd have to go double check that. My youngest son said that one to me. And then I've had this book on my shelf and I started to read it and I put it down. I've put it back up, is The Untethered Soul.
Do you ever podcast or listen to any podcasts?
I do. I'm not that great at it yet, but I'm getting better. And often podcasts I'll listen to are either sent to me from somebody else where it's a topic that they think I might be interested in. Okay, full disclosure, I'm really trying hard to learn how to meditate as I move forward in life. And so I think if I've been listening to anything lately, it's around that topic a little bit.
It was funny when I first moved to Banff. I'm a huge podcast advocate, and anyways, you're not supposed to be walking around in headphones at dusk and dawn, so something new for me to learn. We have two questions related to kind of what's next for you. So as your term as Mayor of Banff is coming to an end, what's next on the horizon?
It's a great question. I don't have an answer. Again, I think one of the things I'm working really hard at right now is waiting and seeing. I do not believe I've reached my best before date. I absolutely believe that there is another, I'm not sure I would say career, but something, you know, I'm in my 60s, so moving into my 60s, something else that I will enjoy doing. I think I've certainly reached the point in my life that I'll assure that whatever I do, it is something that I will enjoy and can be invested in. But I am trying to wait and see. We are still 5 months. I still do have a job to do here and get us as far through this crisis as I can. Yeah, I mean, I've had a few conversations with different people and we'll just wait and see what presents itself. If anybody has a good idea, I'm open.
Sulafa does. She's wondering if you would consider a mentoring role.
Oh, absolutely. Again, hopefully my comment stated, there's nothing I enjoy more than, helping to develop other leaders and great comment. And maybe there's a way I can, you know, work with people on something like that. But yes, always.
Maybe even related to women of distinction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another question in the chat: how consciously have you attended to the leadership role that the town of Banff can or does play in the broader provincial, national context and beyond? What are you proud of and what opportunities do you see? Maybe it's 3 different questions.
Yeah, I'm going to have a quick look at that one. So it's interesting in our role in the town of Banff. I mean, no big surprise, we're a municipality located in a national park. So we do have the unique opportunity to be working with the federal government consistently. Most municipalities work with the provincial government consistently, and we do as well in terms of what any other municipality works with the provincial government on, be it education, health, etc. But a real gift of this job has been able to work with Parks Canada, which of course falls under the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change, and work with some, over the years, some excellent ministers in that role. So it kind of goes back to the relationship thing and that conversation. I think what I'm most proud of is, regardless of, let's just say, what color has been in power, I really do take great pride in my ability to get to the people that I need to get to and have real relationships with them, and get cell phone numbers of ministers and those types of people and premiers. And so that has been something that I take pride in. And I will say what really stands out for me, because probably the one thing that I am really most proud of is how Rome Transit has come along since 2010. And Minister McKenna was our minister at the time of 2017 when the federal government decided to do free passes to all national parks. And we here in Banff National Park were like, "You're what?" So there was a silver lining. That was the time that I met with Minister McKenna a few times saying, look, if there was ever a time for transit, it is now. And Parks Canada had sat at the transit table for 7 years at that point, but their process for financially contributing and what they can do and what they can't do is different. And so it took some time, but I'll tell you, it was 2017 that Parks Canada started to operate coaches within the national park, and it has continued, and they have now their own equipment. And as you know, like Louise, Banff, I'm delighted with that. And so I think my relationship there was very helpful.
You know, Karen, I think anytime that I connect with you too, it's always about your role as mayor. But, you know, thinking beyond that or thinking about that, what is one thing that you're proud of? Or what is the one thing that you maybe want to share with us that you're proud about?
You know, it was funny. I was trying to respond to an email last night and thinking about, you know, how would I summarize? Because one year meshes into another, and to some degree terms mesh into others. Rome Transit, for sure. I appreciate you mentioning the housing crisis. There's been a housing crisis here for, you know, ever, really, as long as I can remember. And we have made some great headway on vacancy. COVID aside, I look like I was really successful in that goal, but that's because so many people left town. But I think as we continue to move forward, I'm always proud of my relationship with Parks Canada. I feel it's just, again, the town of Banff and Parks Canada, and the town of Banff's relationship with Banff Lake Louise Tourism. You know, those three entities are really the engine behind this town. It isn't just the town of Banff, and so I appreciate that. And I think what I would say to the listeners and to the viewers, I think, is that I want them to know that I have never worked with one councillor, one other councillor, or one town of Banff employee who has not wanted the very best for this community. That is why people do this work. And I think it's just important that people know I have yet to come across, as I said, an employee or a co-councillor who hasn't entered into this realm of municipal operation or politics without the best interests of their community at heart. And we all have maybe different views on how to get there, but that's what debate is for. And so I just think that's really important for the community to know. And I would, I guess, close, because I know we're going to get to the really exciting part of today, to say to the viewers, it is, always has been, not only my pleasure, but my privilege to serve you.
It's a great note to leave us on, Karen, and I appreciate you know, what you were talking about in terms of the people that you work with. Just considering what you shared earlier, and I mean, we don't see your inbox, but people can be really cruel, especially sometimes when it's behind a screen. And so I think it's a good reminder. Of course, nobody here that's here today are those people. So
absolutely,
thank you so much for being here today. I can't thank you enough. As soon as I connected with you about this opportunity, you hit it up right away, and I think for me that just speaks to sort of the legacy of this event, and of course your role in women of distinction in this town and in this community.
Thanks, Ebony. And again, congrats to all the nominees. Honestly, I was so honored to receive the award in 2019. It really is a very special award to receive. And so thank you for that. And congratulations to everybody. And I'm excited for this next bit of the program to see where we're at. And Ebony, again, I've said it to you many times, but welcome to our community. I know every opportunity is a new opportunity for you, because obviously you haven't been able to be out and about at events because there haven't been any. But anyway, have a great day, everybody. And I'm looking forward to this next section of the program.
We'll get right into it. So the moment that we've all been waiting for, the Bow Valley Women of Distinction Awards recognize women who, through their own initiative, ability, and effort, have made an exemplary achievement in their field, women who are outstanding role models because of their goals, and women who have made a substantial contribution to the social fabric of their communities in unique and individual ways. Whether recognized as trailblazers in their field or young women on the rise, all are pathfinders bringing forth the key issues facing Canadian women. This year, we introduced 3 new award categories: Community Champion, Innovation, and Young Women's Leadership. A selection committee comprised of YWCA board members, employees, Women of Distinction alumni, and community members reviewed all submissions against nomination criteria and guidelines. The first award I want to present today is the Community Champion Award. This award honors a woman who has initiated meaningful change within the local community, dedicating her own time and resources to champion her cause. She is a visionary, trailblazer, a source of strength for her community, and has improved and enriched the lives of those around her. She has made a significant and sustained difference in the Bow Valley and is an influential leader. The nominees in the Community Champion category are Allison Brewster, Cindy Heisler, Holly Wilkinson, Jane Park, Karen Antrobus, Kimberly Cosman, Christy Wolf, Liz White, Pam Trout, and Sulafa Alabasi. And the winner is Jane Park. Congratulations, Jane. Jane is described by her peers as inclusive, an influential leader, and a trailblazer. Jane has served in several roles within Parks Canada, including Park Warden. For the last 10 years, she worked as a fire and vegetation management specialist. In what is typically a male-dominated field, Jane is committed to paving the way for women and to find their space within the industry and providing opportunity and encouragement for women to pursue a career in fire and Banff National Park. Her recent work includes raising awareness of gender and diversity issues within Parks Canada and the broader wildland fire community. The number of women on her team has increased significantly over the past several years because of her dedication to hiring diverse and an inclusive team. She created an online community to provide support, resources, networking, and information to an international group of women who work in fire. And in 2020, Jane was the only Canadian woman who went to Australia to assist in battling the bushfires and was presented with an award by the Premier of New South Wales for her contributions. Jane has made a lasting impact on the lives of women and girls by providing a source of inspiration. When women and members of the BIPOC community see people like themselves, such as Jane, represented on fire crews within Parks Canada, it shows them that this is a possibility for anyone, including themselves. Congratulations, Jane.
Hi, everybody. I'm kind of speechless and very honored to be honored with this amazing award and also be in the company of so many other amazing women in our community. Yeah, I don't really know too much what to say. The one woman I really wanted to thank was my mom, who is kind of a huge role model for me. She's on a different call at 80 because she's still super active as I advocate for diversity and inclusion and other women and stuff. And yeah, so thank you. And I just wanted to also thank, all the other women in my family, my sister and all my nieces. And I can't not say thanks to my dad and my nephew and husband and everybody too. Yeah, and just thank you to all the amazing women I get to work with within the fire management community and in town. Mayor Sorensen has been there through many of the interesting, trying experiences we've had over the years with the floods in 2013 and the fires in 2017. So just thank you, and I just hope I can contribute more to our community here as time goes by. Thanks.
Thanks, Jane. In normal circumstances, I'd love to, give you a hug and provide you with an award and some flowers. So in COVID times, we have a different way that we're going to do that. But again, congratulations, very deserving. The next award is the Innovation Award, which honors a woman who boldly embraces new, original ideas and pursues creative ways of making a difference. She is a leader who challenges and motivates others to think outside the box and explore cutting-edge solutions to improving their surroundings, facilitating change, and creating opportunities whenever possible. She may be a founder, owner, leader, or other innovator, creating and implementing innovative programs, practices, partnerships, policies, or activities that influence social good and positive change for our community. The nominees for the Innovation Award are Christy Wolf, Marie-Ève Marchand, Nicole Fougere, Pam Trout, Sulafa Alabasi, and Stephanie O'Brien. And the winner is Sulafa Alabasi, an impactful and passionate leader and a dedicated community champion. Sulafa is an inspiration and a role model to many in the Bow Valley. As the Kenmore and Area Healthcare Foundation's Executive Director, Sulafa's innovative spirit, can-do attitude, and passion have been fundamental in the Foundation's success. She's also served on the Kenmore Business and Tourism Board and was a member of the Bow Valley Immigration Partnership, Employment, and Social Integration Committees. Sulafa led, implemented, and championed the Kenmore and Area Health Care Foundation's largest capital campaign, Feels Like Home, to support the renovation of the Kenmore General Hospital's long-term care unit. Sulafa played an important role in the merger between the Kenmore and Area Health Foundation and the Ladies Auxiliary. Sulafa promotes the importance of women's philanthropy through engaging fundraising campaigns and meaningful partnerships with women-led businesses, by speaking with youth groups and supporting young women. Whether it is through her work at the Foundation supporting the Kenmore Hospital, helping Syrian refugee families through interpretation and settlement support, or promoting arts and culture at the Kenmore Folk Festival, Sulafa builds bridges between people. Congratulations, Sulafa.
Thank you. My heart's going to stop. Thank you for everybody who has been here for me, believed in my vision, and supported me and my authentic self. And it takes a valley, starting from my loving and kind husband, who's always there for me to support me, and continues to everyone in the community who who has valued me as a person and as a leader in the community. Thank you for all the helpers, the relationship builders, the thoughtful leaders, the listeners. Thank you. My heart's gonna stop. And so I'm here for any woman that needs support, for all the women of color and immigrant women who are out there. Again, look for the helpers, the listeners, the thoughtful leaders, and the relationship builders. And I'm here if you need anything ever. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thanks.
I'm just watching the live chat go crazy now for Jane and you, Sulafa. Thanks so much. Again, very deserving, and I can't wait to meet both of you one day in person and have a coffee and hear about everything that you've been up to in the Bow Valley. The next award is a Young Women's Leadership Award, which recognizes an emerging leader aged 30 and under, who's an inspirational role model. She's made a significant difference in the Bow Valley through her commitment to a cause or pursuit of a personal dream, while showing perseverance, innovation, and a keen understanding of the community issues. She inspires others to follow her example and sets the pace for others to walk alongside her. She's a leader who I'm sure will all continue to inspire us for years to come. The nominees for Young Women's Leadership category are Carly Evans and Meg Osada. And the winner for this year's Young Women's Leadership Award is Meg Osada. A performing artist, dancer, competitive Special Olympics figure skater, rhythmic gymnast, painter, and a model, Meg is described as passionate, driven, and caring. At 7 years of age, she started lessons at a local skating club and has been skating for more than 17 years. After joining her local Special Olympics chapter in 2006, Meg continued to hone on her skills, competing at national and international levels. In 2020, Meg won gold and 4th place at the Special Olympics Canada Winter Games. It was the 3rd straight golden performance for Meg at the Games. Later that year, she was awarded a Jamie Sale Special Olympics Skater Achievement Award by Skate Canada, honoring her passion and dedication to the sport. Meg has also made her television commercial debut in a Powerade sports drink campaign for the National Special Olympics. She was a featured skater on the Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore's final cross-country tour, Rock the Rink. Meg is the inventory coordinator for Fast and Female, a local organization dedicated to keeping self-identified girls aged 18 to 14 healthy and active in sports. Meg trains day in, day out towards reaching her goals, and her dedication to sports has inspired other young women and girls to do the same. Congratulations, Meg.
Thank you. This is a huge honor. Thank you, Mama, Papa, and Stacy, for all your help. This is a great community. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg, for providing us with that speech. It's been so great to be part of this process and see all of the nominations come in. Really humbling and wonderful. The final award for this afternoon is in honor of Dr. Priscilla Wilson. Priscilla left a unique legacy in Banff as the first female doctor in town and an inspirational mentor, role model, and friend. Known to many as Queen of the Rockies, Priscilla had a magnetic character and appetite for fun. She possessed the distinct combination of being both compelling herself while always curious about others. In honor of Priscilla, YWCA Banff, together with the Wilson family, established this specific award in her name to recognize a woman from the Bow Valley who has demonstrated outstanding leadership and innovation to make a meaningful difference in our community. Just recently, the Wilson family, together with us and the Banff Kenmore Community Foundation, have established an endowment fund in her honor. Look out for an email from us in the next couple days with instructions on how you can contribute to this if you wish. I am thrilled to welcome Ted and Carolyn Wilson to the virtual stage to present the second annual Dr. Priscilla Wilson Memorial Award to Carol Morrison.
Although we are speaking from a different week and a different time zone, we're delighted to wish you good afternoon on this wonderful day.
That this event is taking place at all is thanks to the tireless efforts of Ebony Rempel and her team, as well as those of Connie MacDonald, who is also so important in getting this project off the ground.
Our mother Priscilla was one of the few women in her medical class in London in the 1940s. She came to Banff after marrying our father, Ian. Her professional life was uphill from the start. This was a world where there were no female doctors, and the Mineral Springs would not grant her hospital privileges. She bypassed Banff and developed a thriving practice as a GP in Kenmore. She eventually joined Dad's practice in Banff and regularly assisted him in the OR.
Old London habits were another issue. Mum struggled to find a good hairdresser in Banff until she came across Mrs. Anne Boone in the early days. And then Hanshofer kept her hair immaculate until the end of her life.
Mum worked very hard at home, at work, and in the community. She taught us always to look forward, never back.
The Dr. Priscilla Wilson Memorial Award recognizes a woman from the Bow Valley who has demonstrated outstanding leadership and innovation to make a meaningful difference in the community.
Although their professional lives did not cross often, Mum and Carol Morrison became acquainted and developed a great respect for one another. Both incredibly social, their joy was to be with friends and to share their pride in the latest stories of their children and grandchildren.
We remember Carol's serenity, wonderful charm, and energy. The voltage went up when she entered the room. She was the person you wanted to get to through the crowd.
Neither Mum nor Carol set out with aspirations of legacy building, yet by virtue of their values, tenacity, and care, they established a strong foundation for women in the community to rise from, and a glittering standard to aspire to.
And there were some interesting parallels. For one, they gave not only through themselves, but through their medical careers.
Carol's principled and collegial approach earned her the responsibility of leading the emergency department at the Banff Mineral Springs Hospital. In her almost 40 years in the nursing profession, she not only nurtured those of us fortunate, and sometimes unfortunate enough to land in the emergency, she nurtured and mentored countless prospective nursing and healthcare professionals.
Carol's legacy was celebrated when she retired and was recognized for her contributions to the workplace and to work relationships. The meaningfulness of her influence could not have been more evident than when she shifted from caregiver to care receiver after being admitted as a patient to the Mineral Springs.
It was a welcome opportunity for the team she led to treat her with the same dignity, compassion, and care she exemplified for them.
And if we may say, we saw the same with Mum during the time she spent in the Mineral Springs. A patient, understanding the huge pressures on those working in medical care.
Carol's generosity extended into the community. She was a go-getter from the early days of her children's activities, such as making costumes for the Banff Skating Club and volunteering for countless organizations. Among her favorites were the YWCA and St. George's in the Pines Anglican Church.
And we mustn't forget that Carol also had a day job as a wife and mother, a top nursing career nowhere challenging enough. Neither of these could be limited to a schedule, and while more than full-time, they were the roles she found incredibly fulfilling.
While both excelling in their professions, Carol and David raised 4 unique and individual children. Carol partnered and supported David as he led Brewster Tours and Transportation to be one of the most pioneering and successful tour companies, bringing attention to this amazing location we call home.
And whether hosting at their home or accompanying him on business ventures, Carol blended her many roles effortlessly with a talent for bringing people together in her trademark smiling, warm, and welcoming fashion.
She raised a wonderful family and personally contributed to important social initiatives. She demonstrated that women can have it all, a family, a career, a wide range of friendships, while contributing to their communities in vital ways.
Carol was an advocate and promoter of the outdoor lifestyle Banff has to offer. She participated in and encouraged her children, friends, and all those she met to go outdoors for its ability to heal and move the spirit.
Carol celebrated the outdoors herself by golfing, hiking, running, and cross-country skiing. As much as it was a mantra for her kids, we can all live and learn from the benefits of her response. You'll never regret getting out.
Like Priscilla, Carol moved to Banff at a young age. They were professional women in their respective fields while raising young families and supporting their husbands' careers. They were actively interested in the company of their friends, who provided important outlets for their social and active lifestyles. They invested deeply in the community and the events that they were part of.
While Carol may not have actually been able to fit into Priscilla's shoes, she was a size 7 to Priscilla's size 12. They certainly walked in each other's footsteps. When we remember Priscilla and Carol, we think about their indelible contributions to their professions, their community, and their families, not necessarily in that order.
By being oneself, by loving, caring, and leaving an ever-growing legacy in one's children, their children's children, and in the memories created, one can make a difference. These qualities tie these women together and make Carol a perfect recipient of the Priscilla Wilson Memorial Award. We're so honored to have known you.
Thank you.
Thank you to Ted and Carolyn and Ian, the entire family, for sharing with us today and joining us here at the event all the way from the UK and Singapore. I really look forward to hopefully meeting you all in person at next year's Changemakers event. I now want to welcome James Morrison, Carol's son, to accept the award on behalf of his late mom.
Everyone, I hope this message finds you well. I am awkwardly shooting this video in my bedroom in Toronto on my 4th free haircut from my wife, but I would love nothing more than to be out there in person in the heart of the Rockies celebrating with you today. I know we're all looking forward to better times ahead, when we can get together and celebrate wonderful events like this in person. Nevertheless, I am appreciative to be able to address you today on behalf of my mom for the Dr. Priscilla Wilson Award. The work that's gone into nominating Mom for this award has been very touching for my family. And I didn't know Priscilla personally, but I'm well aware of her contributions to this community. And I can say that it is a great honor for our family to have Mom's societal contributions recognized in Priscilla's name. It's been about 18 months since Mom passed, and not a day goes by that her absence isn't deeply felt. And I can't think of a time in recent history that society has been in greater need of support of people like her that care so deeply for their friends and family and communities and are willing to lend a hand to those in need. And the world can certainly use more change makers. My family was deeply honored to hear that Mom was going to be receiving this award. But when I think about how Mom would have reacted to this news, I think she would have been quite surprised. Mom knew Priscilla well, and Priscilla was a trailblazer. And Mom didn't have many claims to firsts. Her accomplishments weren't achieved boldly. Rather, they were really achieved quite steadily, day by day, step by step, brick by brick. So much so that you didn't even realize that it was really happening in real time. And yet, when we take a step back and look at the contributions that she's made to this community over the course of her life, they're meaningful. And importantly, they're enduring. And it is a great source of pride and pleasure for me and my family to see her contributions still on display today, whether they be through the quality of care that people receive at the Mineral Springs Hospital, her fundraising that has helped advance many important social causes throughout the Valley, her inclusive nature that fostered many strong relationships and even one or two still thriving marriages today, or her love of the outdoors, which has really spawned several generations of outdoor enthusiasts. Mom was she was a positive influence in every endeavor and willing to lend a hand to causes big or small. But one thing about Mom is that she never did it for the recognition. And yet, I think that she would have been elated for the recognition that she's receiving today. So, with that said, I would like to imagine her receiving this award, not virtually, but in person, all dressed up and beaming with pride over this honor, and even more excited to celebrate it with all of us. So, we thank you for taking the time to recognize the important contributions that people have made to this community. And I hope that it inspires many others to try and find small ways to make differences that can, over a lifetime, add up to a lot. I wish you well, and we hope to see you very soon. So all the best.
Thanks so much for sharing with us this afternoon. James, I can't imagine how it must feel for you. And I certainly am left feeling inspired. It's a mix of my cheeks hurting because I'm smiling so much, but then holding back tears. It's events like this that really bring me and encourage me to want to continue to do this work. So tables in our remote platform will remain open for another half an hour. I just wanted to close the event with some thank yous. Thank you to Karen. You really made this event for me, for sure. Thank you to the Wilson family and to James, as well to Brian White from Bow Media. And thank you to the nomination committee and all of you for coming today. It's been a wonderful afternoon. Have a great